I have plenty of time. If you talk to single women in their 30s about dating and family planning, you will hear this phrase constantly. It is a comforting mantra repeated by millions of highly capable women. But biologically speaking, it is almost entirely false. Take the case of an accomplished 32-year-old medical doctor. When asked about her plans for starting a family, she casually calculated that she had 8 full years left to figure out marriage and children. This was an intelligent, medically trained professional who honestly believed her biological runway extended smoothly into her 40s. Where does this assumption come from? For decades, modern cultural messaging has encouraged women to defer family planning indefinitely. We see celebrities having children at 45, and society constantly reassures women that they can prioritize their careers, travel, and personal growth without any penalty to their future family goals. The modern empowerment narrative promises that a woman can be anything she wants. That part is functionally true, but it conveniently omits the reality of trade-offs. No one gets to be everything all at once. The cost of pursuing one path in your 20s and 30s is giving up the time required for another. By relying on the comforting illusion of an unlimited runway, women are actively setting themselves up for a collision. The career milestones can wait. The biological deadline of age 40 cannot. Many women assume that if they run out of natural time, they can just throw money at the problem. They plan to rely on IVF, in-vitro fertilization, assuming science will handle the rest. But let's look at the actual clinical statistics. This 100-square grid represents a woman's natural probability of getting pregnant in any given cycle at age 40. Only 4 of those squares are lit. That is a bare 4% chance of conception each month, even with perfectly timed attempts. Now watch as 80 of these squares go completely dark. By age 40, an average of 80% of a woman's remaining eggs are genetically abnormal. This drastically increases the likelihood of severe pregnancy complications and congenital defects. Attempting to bypass these biological realities with IVF is brutal. Couples routinely spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on several unsuccessful rounds. The emotional toll of failing to conceive under these conditions is so heavy that roughly half of the couples who go through unsuccessful IVF end up divorcing. Medical science is remarkable, but it is not a magic eraser for time. Trying to get pregnant with your own eggs at 40 is incredibly difficult. Age 40 is not a soft milestone you can negotiate with. It is a hard biological wall. To see exactly how much time is left, we have to do some basic reverse math. This timeline lays out a standard goal, a family with 2 kids, completed right against that hard boundary of age 40. Working backward through non-negotiable biology, if you want to deliver your second child at 40, you need to conceive at 39. Factoring in recovery and a healthy gap, your first child needs to be born by 38, which means you have to conceive that first child at 37. Now, we add the logistics of building a stable partnership. To be ready to conceive at 37, you generally need to be married by 36, and to plan a wedding by 36, you need a formal proposal by 35. If you need an engagement at 35, you have to factor in the actual dating and vetting process. That means you need to meet the right person by age 33, or 34 at the absolute latest. Remember that 32-year-old doctor who thought she had 8 years to figure things out? According to the math, she didn't have 8 years. To stay on track for 2 kids, she had a few short months. Executing that compressed timeline requires finding a partner willing to commit. But as women enter their 30s, finding a high-value man looking to settle down becomes exponentially more difficult. This graph tracks sexual marketplace value, or SMV, a metric used to gauge general desirability to potential partners. Historically, the average age of a first marriage coincides perfectly with the exact moment the average man's SMV begins to exceed the average woman's. That crossover point happens at age 30. Men who have achieved high status and wealth enjoy incredible optionality. When these men look for a long-term partner to start a family with, they actively select for youth. They do this because youth is the most reliable, biologically hardwired marker for peak fertility and health. Put yourself in the shoes of a successful man who wants children. If he has the option to choose between a beautiful 34-year-old and a beautiful 24-year-old, the reproductive odds heavily favor the 24-year-old. A woman might still be beautiful, intelligent, and professionally accomplished in her mid-30s, but in the eyes of a high-value man looking to build a family, those achievements do not offset a rapidly shrinking reproductive window. She is competing at a severe biological disadvantage. The math dictates a simple, ironclad rule. Time is a zero-sum game. If you delay your family planning on the front end during your 20s, that exact amount of time must be paid for on the back end. Paying that time debt often requires high-risk compromises. To beat the biological clock, a woman might have to accept a proposal from someone she has dated for less than a year, rushing into a lifelong commitment without properly vetting the relationship. The compromises become dangerously physical, too. A delayed start might force a woman to have Irish twins, conceiving a second child as soon as it is physiologically viable after the first birth, pushing her body to its absolute limits under high-risk medical conditions. And if the math simply doesn't work out, the final compromise is the harshest of all, accepting a much smaller family than you originally wanted or missing the window to have children entirely. Understanding these biological rules isn't meant to induce panic. It's meant to provide clarity. The cultural narrative of unlimited time is a comforting lie, but the math is honest. Facing that honesty is the only way to take actual control of your future before the clock makes the decision for you.